I plotted these are my estimates. The pickup SUVs, vans that start with 100 million today and gradually go out of service either by conversion, but by obsolescence, by finding their way to Mexico or wherever the old pickups retire. And compare that ramp as time goes on with a built ramp by the automobile companies that is twice as aggressive as the previous ramp was historically. I use it as a mouth, a pretty aggressive ramp. You do it twice as fast, you get the green line, achieve a 20% penetration in 10 years. Not very good. We need to supplement them by looking at a major problem that faces our society and the customers and the automobile industry, making PSVs viable again by retrofitting them to the same type of capability, giving them an electric range ahead of gasoline, and by unleashing the distributed infrastructure of repair shops throughout the country and equipping them in a similar way as CATV, community TV operators, became the cable industry, and mom-and-pop cellular providers became AT&T. Do a nationwide development of a franchise chain with the aggregation that follows. We would add a much deeper ramp and bring that OEM, automobile industry conversion in by a decade. Major existence, which I don't have to convince this room, there's an existence proof that it can be done. And if I can call your attention to my right, two pioneers in this industry are standing next to vehicles that they converted in different technologies. Professor Ali Ahmadi from Illinois Institute of Technology, standing next to converted, retrofitted Ford 150, and Professor Andy Frank from UC Davis, standing next to a converted Equinox. And I would like to ask you to express your appreciation for them because they have suffered the common fate of pioneers. If they turned around and showed their backs, you would see them. We have a major example, thank you very much, major example of what a conversion like this took in the creation of the internet infrastructure and the computing devices that populate that infrastructure. It had a lot of factors, a lot of forces. It had entrepreneurs in it. It had large companies reaching across the boundaries and shaking up another industry. It had internal transformation and evolution, like the cable industry was an example. Investment by companies in other industries and technologies that they never expected to make money on. And guess what? They didn't. Intel being a perfect example in its effort in popularizing multimedia on the internet. And finally, the government, which in various not exactly smooth ways changed the rules and regulations and the laws that pertain to the regulation of the industry, as they did in the telecom industry, all leading to an atmosphere, an environment in which companies competed and complemented each other, competed with each other and complemented each other with equal energy on a daily basis. That is what is needed to be done by the companies represented by many of you in this room and even much larger number who are not. And I woke up to an exceedingly good piece of news that gives me confidence that it is actually possible to do. This is an initiative that I know nothing about, but I wrote the slide. The Wall Street Journal article talking about GM teams with dozens of utilities on plug-in cars. It's a wonderful example of something that I thought was slideware being a reality. The people who did that deserve the same applause because innovation in business operation is just as difficult and just as frustrating as innovation in technology. I suspect that really has something to do with this. So, no good deed shall be unpunished. I would like to take this accomplishment, and now that you can take one step, can you walk? And we propose to you a couple of dream actions. I'm looking at the president of every, but I'm looking at many of you because this is going to require a lot of participants. What if you all formed an inter-industry task force with core members from the electric utility industry, that is probably the largest and most well-endowed segment, so they should participate in a very active fashion. The auto industry, the high-tech industries, because intelligence in the grid and in the cars is going to be essential. And it's clear from our feasibility group that academia is, in this case, ahead of the crowd, so they should be participating in it. And we should take our imaginary task force and give them a task. Come up with a plan to produce 10 million dual fuel PSVs on the roads in 4-year time, and present this plan to the President of the United States on January 21st. It would be a fantastic move in energizing the country and probably other countries as well to do that. Rebuilding the commons that we've destroyed by our neglect is much harder than most jobs. It requires contributions from, otherwise known as sacrifices, from all affected parties. First among those is consumers. And no segment of your consumers as a group suffer more than the people who purchased, own money on SUVs, pickups that they have bought from the manufacturers, with consequences on them as well as on the manufacturers. Let me show you a few seconds from PBS on this subject.